Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Happy Thursday to you and your family. We're taking a look here at Loom Network, seeing what's going on. I got a ton of requests for this one because it's taken off once more. And last time we took a look at it here, it was topping out right here at about 12.5 and came all the way down to this Fibonacci 0.618 level there at about 8.2 cents. So again, nice little correction there, of course. Congrats to our members who actually took some profits on the way down. We're going to talk a little bit about if this is due for a pullback, if we're going to continue higher. There's a lot of little patterns we want to look at. Elliott wave for one. We've also got a double top pattern forming as well. We're going to see what that looks like. Okay. So if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I do teach people how to trade. Been teaching and trading for over 20 years. So greatly appreciate any kind of support you can provide to the channel. But more importantly, happy to be able to provide that to you as well. Because honestly, just very rewarding to be able to help traders become better, right? So I got private trading videos on my Discord, of course. We actually have a premium group as well. These are signals that are part of my subscription there, where you can go ahead and take signals, automatically follow those here from me. We took a nice lever short here at about 82% in 2.5 days. And of course, nice gala along there at 22% in 4 hours. So those are just the most recent trades that we took. Typically I send about 1 or 2 signals per day. So we got a few active trades going on right now. Pretty exciting stuff. Again, be sure to check that out. CryptoCash.tech is the website where you can register. Also, when it comes to this coin, one thing we also wanted to look at before, if I recall correctly, was the moving averages on the 4 hour. We are trending above them. Okay, so that's a very positive sign. You know what? Let's reset. Let's start from the top and work our way down. We'll talk about that just in a minute here. As far as moving averages are concerned on the daily, though, obviously we're well above them. We are ascending positively, but I just want to kind of note that in most cases, the 20-day SMA is kind of the trend setter. So a lot of times I like to draw out a trend line concurrent with that, because that's something to kind of pay attention to. All right, so just bear in mind, 20-day SMA on the daily is a good trend setter, letting you know that you're on the right side of tracks or the wrong, effectively helping you understand, the overall bias and the current trend. Okay. So right now, current trend is up. There's no other way around it. Okay, we're still over 70 on the RSI. We peaked back up above. Instead of diverging on the MACD, we got a nice little bounce there. Okay, so a lot of strength here for this coin. You got to recognize too, a lot of volume is coming into this coin as well. What's interesting though, and this is most of this volume is previous. Here today, we actually don't have a lot. Okay, so that is fairly concerning. That does lead me to believe that a shorting opportunity is on the horizon due to the simple fact that the price is increasing with no selling pressure. Okay? And oftentimes when there's no selling pressure, it does imply that the bears are just kind of waiting for the right time to allow for the liquidity sweep. Okay? And what that basically just is if we take a look at, usually the 4 hour time frame will reflect that here. Let's go ahead and remove this so you can kind of see. You can kind of see this area of liquidity here, right? Because again, a lot of value here came up and then sold off immediately. So it's kind of like a golden grail, right? It's like people want to be able to get this price action at this point, and then the plan is to short from this area. Okay, a lot of times this little area will be swept, price comes up, and then it comes back down. But the fact that we have extremely low volume in the most recent 12 to 24 hours is extremely concerning due to the fact that this increase isn't really all that strong. Okay, again, there's plenty of volume, obviously, but if you compare it from before, either one or two things. There's either less selling pressure, which is a likely culprit, or it's just, there's a lot more buyers. But it doesn't make a ton of sense to have this low of volume and this amount of increase in price. Okay, so again, that's why volume is an important thing. But speaking of volume, let's go ahead and let's pull up our fibs here once more. And then what I want to do is kind of just talk a little bit about the volume support that we have right now. You can kind of see it here pretty clear as day. It's right there at the most recent bottom. So about 11 cents even. We'll just round down a little bit. That is essentially the new support. So keep in mind the price does pull back, heaven forbid. If we could very well see a bounce off that level, that'll provide a lot more support than any other range so far. Okay? We do have a secondary amount of support here based on volume right at about 12.5. That's that 0.236 Fibonacci level. So the price does pull back. That'd be more of a realistic bouncing point. Keep in mind, if it pulls back here, and we got to take a look at this here as well, Elliott wave does suggest we're going to see lower price points. And what that basically just implies is that, once you fulfill your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern, basically 3 higher highs and 2 higher lows, you're always going to be followed by 2 lower lows and a lower high. That being said, if we take a look at the current scenario here, double top, once we sweep this liquidity, even if we don't, price action has more likelihood of coming back down to establish a lower low moving forward. Again, those are just normal chart patterns. That's exactly why we look at them. Is it 100% foolproof? No, never. But it does increase the odds of the likelihood of the price going lower than higher. Okay, so I wish I had this coin available on my exchange to be able to trade it. Actually, technically, I do have a MEXC account, but I don't have a lot of funds over there. I'm not going to really bother, truthfully, but this is a very, very good opportunity to be able to consider a short in the relative near future. And what I mean by that is, again, probably best to try to wait until the price breaks this most recent high. They're at about 16.8. But once more, you could very well take a short from here, and it'd probably be okay. Just make sure you use low leverage and low position size, because it could very well spike up from here. It's crazy. It's because a lot of times when coins come up this high, it's like everyone FOMO's in, right? And then all of a sudden come up a little higher, a little bit more FOMO, and then they yank it. Okay. Again, low volume right now. Extremely concerning that this increase will not sustain itself. All right, so again, we got a MACD convergence. We're testing 70 on the RSI. These are mostly bullish qualities, but you got to recognize proof is in the volume. In my personal opinion here, I think the volume is telling us that we're not in great shape here. This is not that sustainable of an increase. That in combination with Elliott wave kind of fulfilling its full pattern, as well as us having a double top, I'm a little concerned that this is not going to continue much further. Again, stranger things can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one last strong little volume burst to try to get us up over that level, but it shouldn't be able to sustain that level, just based on the overall sense of things. Last thing we want to look at here would be, actually, second to last, let's look at Ichimoku Cloud and just verify that we have all green lights here to essentially leave your long position open, right? It hasn't fully pulled back. It isn't one of those situations where the price action is going to just drop from here. Granted, this coin has a tendency of doing that. It has done that before. Previously, when we our community was able to short, it does have a nice strong bleed. Okay, and there's been a few times where the price just yanks itself down. Okay, so you got to be mindful that these kind of dumps can happen. So this coin is totally susceptible to that, not impervious, if you will. But what we want to recognize here, though, is that we're getting close-ish to closing your long position. So if you do have a long position open, you may want to consider taking some profits. I personally would have by now. Obviously, depending on my average position size, but if you got in anywhere in this range here, you're probably up a good 10 to 15%. That's awesome. That's a really good trade. Okay, so try not to get too greedy with your trades, because this does look like it's on the edge of disaster, and there's a good chance it's going to pull back. But again, that's mostly based on the low amount of volume we're seeing in this coin. Yes, we saw a push up there, but it's not really sustaining itself above this moving average, which is not good. Okay, very last thing I wanted to look at would just be the daily here, and kind of just quickly identify a few. Actually, let's go ahead and go with the weekly or even the monthly and just kind of see if there's any key level supports or resistances. We do have a pretty strong resistance at about 17.8. So the price does wake up to that level. That'd be an awesome shorting opportunity. That could very well happen. You'd be surprised. Previous month closes are very, very common areas in which the price action will retest and reject. You can kind of see here previously. It tried once, twice, kind of a third time. But for the most part, this area right here is going to be a strong resistance based on the fact that it could not close for these 2 to 3 months straight. Even 4 or 5 if you had them all together in the previous past, right? It's going to take a lot of volume to do that. And right now, while there is a decent amount of volume in the overall sense, it's still very low comparatively, okay, right? So you need a lot more volume to be able to sustain a price action like that. So to me, the way things are looking right now, I do not like today's volume versus the amount of volume we've seen in the past. Okay. Now I know you need this kind of volume base to be able to launch into this extra area, and there's a good chance that a lot of this volume here is just folks holding onto their profit, right? But profit needs to be taken eventually, and once it starts to dump, it'll start to dump fast and hard. And there's a good chance, once again, based on this Elliott wave theory here, that we are in a position right now where we will start seeing lower lows and lower highs, at least for another couple of swings, right? So my speculation is we'll see somewhere in the range of 7 to 10 cents retested in the next couple of weeks. It just seems fairly likely, unless, of course, the volume starts to increase. That's a different story altogether, okay? If we continue to maintain this amount of volume right now, which is very low comparatively, I don't think we're going to be able to have a leg to stand. All right, so that's kind of what I'm looking at there. If you have opposite thoughts, feel free to comment below. Let me know. I'm always excited to hear what you have to say. And if you have nothing to say, that's okay. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to become a fly on the wall with our Crypto Cash Premium account, come on over here. got some awesome profits and taking some cool trades too. Like what our SUI trade that took place good, 45%. We took some nice profits from Bitcoin, of course. And as you can kind of see, some of these time frames are 24 days, 1 month in some cases. Other times it's 4 or 5 hours, right? So these are built as swing trades to be held for longer periods of time. And you got to recognize that you know what is it? Slow and steady wins the race, or the turtle will always finish. There's a lot of different metaphors you can summarize with, but we use low leverage, low position size, and we survive any kind of market conditions for the most part. There's rare occasions where we'll get stopped out, but generally speaking, we're looking at a pretty high success rate. I think last month we were at 95% success. So again, cool stuff. Check it out if you want. If you have questions, go ahead and reach out if you like. But generally speaking, congrats again to our community members. Thanks so much for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next one. Take good care of yourself.